In the past 18 months, 4 out of 10, or 40%, of every dollar in existence was produced.
Welcome. Thanks for joining me. Got a good video for you today. Comes from Tucker Carlson showing us how the mainstream media really thinks about voters. Joy Reid and the mainstream media pre the election thought everybody was just so stupid, and that anybody who votes Republican is stupid, anybody who believes that inflation's actually happening is stupid, and just in general that Americans are stupid and that we don't know things like what inflation is or what the recession meant, and that they can just change the definitions of these words and all of a sudden it means different stuff. Somehow this is what the American people are somehow now believing. And so what Joy Reid's talking about here, I don't think we've gone to enough extreme about. We need to educate our people even more, because if they're threatened by the fact that we taught people one word, that we really need to get after it in teaching people what all these different words that are being thrown around and manipulated in front of people's faces to try to get them to vote. And to vote specifically for one party that's leadership tactics have been failures. And instead of us accepting the fact that this one political party cannot run a country properly without sinking it financially, we're going to continue to deal with these issues. So we need to continue to educate people and teach them what stuff actually means, because we're not doing enough of what Joy Reid's talking about right here. So let's roll into it.
Now, you may imagine that you're paying more for spaghetti and 2x4s and heating oil. Oh, no. That's just a figment of your imagination.
The only people I ever hear use the word inflation are journalists and economists, right? So that is not part of the normal lexicon of the way people talk.
The way normal people talk, they do use words like inflation and recession. And I mean, Barack Obama was talking about these things coming out of George W. Bush, that Bush had caused all these problems. There was inflation, there was a recession, there was all these different things that were happening when they were under Republican presidents. So Democrats have been guilty as well of teaching people what words are, specifically trying to manipulate them. But in the case of inflation, educating people about the realities of what things are isn't wrong. It's the being mad that people aren't as stupid as you would like them to be, and the expectation that people are stupid, and that if we weren't taught these things by someone so much smarter than the rest of us, dumb, ignorant, average Americans, that we would never know stuff like this because we're just so stupid.
So it's interesting that Republicans are doing something they don't normally do, right? Which is not use the common tongue, right? Not use just common English to sort of do on their campaigns like they're doing with crime.
What is the common English for the word inflation? What other words are there in the thesaurus? What other adjectives could we use for this? I'm using these specific words to show you that average people aren't as stupid as you think we are.
But what they've done is they've taught people the word inflation, right? Yeah. Most people who would have never used that word ever in their lives are using it now because they've been taught it.
Different idea. Most people haven't had to use inflation because it's never been this bad before. So it's a larger topic than it's ever been before. You make it seem as though the only reason why people talk about things is because of the media. And if that be the case, then we would have to ask the question, well, what are you fueling? What stories and motives do you have that you're influencing, that you're accusing the Republican Party and the Republican media of doing? Because you're also taking a stance right now and saying that you're not the right-wing media, so that pretty much makes you the left-wing media. Because you are selling a narrative that is so anti-Republican that you are clearly the left-wing media.
Including on TV, including in newspapers, they've been taught this word.
What they've done, says the Harvard lady, what they've done is they've taught people the word inflation. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The Republican Party running around teaching people words.
Unfortunately, this video was pre-election, and we saw that we thought the American people knew enough stuff about how our country worked and who was creating the pain upon them, but we didn't correct that. And we're going to see even more pain that caused the word inflation to begin with. We're going to see more inflation. We're going to see more loss of jobs. We're going to see more pain for the American people because of the economic decisions that the Democrat Party makes. And instead of paying attention to the words like inflation, they would rather be mad at you that you know the word. In that comes the fact that because the Republican Party lost dramatically when they should have won dramatically, says that they didn't teach people enough and that they need to push a lot more teaching upon the American people, and that we need to inform people as to what each party actually stands for, and that we need to point out dramatic differences as to this party stands for this and this party stands for that. Because the two parties do create dramatically different outcomes for the American people, whether the American people associate the pain to whoever's causing it or not. This is all part of a game and that needs to be taught to the American people, because you need to know not just what inflation is, but how it happens, who's causing it, and why it's happening. And the fact that politics matter huge in your life.
In the past 18 months, 4 out of 10 or 40% of every dollar in existence was produced. So the Federal Reserve has been around since 1913. So for 108 years of producing dollars, 40% of those dollars were produced in the past 18 months.
What?
Yeah, so the dollar is being rapidly depreciated through excess production, again, because it's not tethered to gold. There's no accountability to governments whatsoever. You can just print money and dole it out at your whim.
Don't they know that that goes badly? Aren't there laws in place so that they can't do that?
The Federal Reserve is an unregulated private institution.
What?
It's not federal, and it has no reserves. And it's an institution that never loses. It can print money, right? It just prints money.
We're headed in such a dangerous economic direction that we can't afford to make dramatic mistakes like electing the Democrat Party, who clearly can't economically understand how the world works. Educating the American people needs to be a massive focus by anybody who believes that our country is heading in a really bad direction and could end up in a really bad place very soon if we don't start to pay attention. Thanks for hitting that like and subscribe button. Thanks to my subscribers. Thanks for watching. Later.